Scream 6 just released in theaters. I just got done watching it. What are my thoughts on it? Is it one of the better ones in the franchise, or is it one of the weaker ones? Let's get into it. Real quick before we get into it, please do hit the subscribe button down below. It does my channel a lot of good. Now, what is my history on the Scream franchise? Last year, was the first time I've ever seen a Scream movie. I watched them in about January of last year in preparation for the Scream movie that came out last year. And I really enjoyed them, especially the first two. I really loved the first two movies. Third one, not so great. Fourth one, again, not so great. And then I watched the new one last year. And I thought that Scream 2022 was good. It wasn't great, but it was definitely a good movie and a nice return after Scream 3 and 4. I know some people are big fans of Scream 4. I'm really not. But so I was actually quite excited going into Scream 6 because there's just been a lot of hype surrounding this movie, with it being set in New York City, bringing back Kirby, and it just felt like a unique and really strong premise to have it in New York City, because there are so many people, and with the subway scene, which they showed on in the trailer, that scene is creepy, because this movie's not really scary. It's not just like all the other Scream movies. This is the bloodiest, and it is one of the most violent in the whole franchise, but it's not really scary. And I don't think you really go to a Scream movie, though, to be scared. You go for the characters, some of the comedy, and, of course, the mystery of who is Ghostface this time around. And you get attached to the characters in each new installment. And that's the same in this one, except for, to me, this might be the second best Scream movie, because I loved this movie. It was a really fun time. I was actually quite surprised by how much I ended up enjoying it, especially the first 2/3. Now, I am probably going to get into spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, please do not, if you don't want spoilers, please come back to this video later. But the whole ending, the last 20 minutes with the reveals, some of the acting didn't feel very strong, and it felt kind of like we're doing this again. Like, okay, the reveal, and oh, there's more of them, and there was 3 basically, except for the cop. Bailey was not one of the Ghostface. I don't think he ever put on the mask, but his kids were. I did not see that coming. I kind of predicted that Bailey, the police officer, especially about a little after midway through the movie, I kind of predicted, he's a little suspicious, but I didn't expect his daughter to be the killer. And his son, I didn't really expect either, because I thought it was almost too obvious that the Scream franchise knew they wouldn't, and I think they knew that we'd think that, so then they made him the killer. But overall, I think the last third was probably the weakest part of the movie, because the whole reveal wasn't spectacular. It was like everyone's surviving, everyone's not dying. There's a lot of not dying from like stuff that should have killed people in this movie, which makes the stakes a little less low, because when Chad got stabbed, he came back in the end and he ended up surviving, even though it looked like he wasn't going to make it out. So the stakes there then in the end were a little bit lowered because of that. But I really, really enjoyed this movie. If you are a fan of the Scream franchise, definitely check this one out. It is definitely the most violent one in the franchise. There is quite a bit of comedy in here. Pug from She-Hulk is in here. And actually, Jenna Ortega did a decent job. She actually did a pretty good job in here, but I didn't feel like she was in it that much. My favorite characters were the twins. To me, they added levity. They were funny. And they just played a big part in the movie, and I really enjoyed their presence. It was nice seeing what's her name, Gale Weathers back, and of course they end up. No, I think she actually lives. I'm not sure. I forgot, because I don't think we see her at the end of the movie. I think they mentioned that she was doing okay. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. This is my favorite movie of the year currently. I've only seen about 7 movies, so it's not that great of an accomplishment, but this movie is still really good. So if you're a fan of horror movies or just slashers or the Scream franchise, definitely give this one a watch.